Zereth Mortis, my personal favorite addition to World of Warcraft, the Shadowlands expansion. It is a zone that is by far not perfect, but at least added something that even filthy casuals like me could enjoy and look forward to. Today, we continue our discoveries in the out-of-bounds portions of the map. This video will cover the out-of-bounds area of the Sepulcher and what's beyond the entire map of Zereth Mortis. If you missed part 1, there will be a link in the description, and you do not need to see that video in order to watch this one. You will just miss what's to the right of the Sepulcher and what's left of the Sepulcher, and in the far reaches beyond the starting area of Zereth Mortis. You will miss the amazing scenery that I showed off there. If you want to see more out-of-bounds explorations like this one, you can subscribe to the channel and join the Uncrafters on the adventure to the 1000 sub mark. Or if you are not ready to sub to the channel yet, I appreciate you watching the video. And you can also show that you like the video by hitting the like button with a barrage of bats. There are a couple things I want to mention in this video. First, someone mentioned that the Sepulcher is pronounced Sepulcher, and I just want to say they are most likely right, and I'm pretty sure they are. But this is America, so I will pronounce it as Sep-oolk-her henceforth after the completion of this video. Also, my subscribers mentioned that the arena I found in the last video, turns out it actually is an arena, literally, that's being added in 9.2.5, which was actually the day that my video released, and I had no idea. Thought that was really neat. Anyway, that's it for the bullcrap intro stuff. It's time to dive into the Sepulcher of the first ones and what's beyond in the out-of-bounds area. So I decided to glitch out of bounds, really simple, just Door of Shadows or Metamorphosis, doesn't matter. And you can easily climb up this thing all the way to the very top of it. I don't know what to call this gilded thing. And so yeah, you can climb all the way to the very top here. And I thought, you know what? This actually might be enough of a distance to, you know, get across to the very top of this mountain. So I got here, and then I decided to use a goblin glider, because you can actually use a goblin glider out here since you're not in an instance. I won't lie, if you just use the goblin glider with the demon hunter's double jump, you may not make it. You might have to use a fellow rush or two here. I did have a couple instances where I actually did fail this jump. I got it right the first time, but then I later on failed it later on in the video. Alright, so look where we are. We can see inside of the Sepulcher. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a blinding blue light above it and a whole zone below us to explore. So let's get on with it. Let's explore behind the Sepulcher. So it takes a while to fall down here. Now what I should have done is try to fly as far as possible, as high as possible, and see where I could get. It turns out there's actually invisible barriers all over the place, so it doesn't really matter how far I would have gotten. I would have gotten stuck no matter what. And so I landed here on this little rock at first, and I mean, there's a really good view of the area, except for the blinding blue light here. It's incredible how bright it was. Like, I tried to see what was in the blue light. It's really hard to tell. It just looks, it almost looks blurry. It's so bright. But you can see this little ledge over here in the distance. I never actually went over there. Again, I should have tried for it, but I just never did. What I did do, though, is I came over to this area, and you can see some weird textures over here. Nothing too crazy to look at, but there's definitely some weird textures. And then I went to this large platform, and now I'm officially locked inside of an out-of-bounds little area. And you can see the back of the Sepulcher here, which is pretty cool. You can see the whole interior of this place. Now, again, I will in post, talk about what the comparisons between the actual Sepulcher and this area. But for this, it's really cool to see the design here. You see the emerald crystal in the middle there. That's pretty cool. It's just a really pretty area, which I really enjoy seeing. I did test if you could fish here. You cannot fish here. I tried multiple times, didn't work. So normally in these weird waters in Shadowlands, you can't swim in them. Zereth Mortis is the exception, though. You actually can swim in this water as if it's normal water, which that leads to a whole plethora of exploration in the Sepulcher. I mean, look at this. We can swim anywhere in this little lake here. So if you look under the map, you can see all kinds of weird textures. There's a whole entire zone, not really a zone, but a whole entire area out here, which I thought was pretty freaking amazing. So yeah, we could just explore all this. You can see some green textures under the water there. That's really bizarre, but I do like seeing stuff like that. And if we swim even farther under, you can see even more glitch textures. And as you can see on the map here, we're actually behind the Sepulcher, as I mentioned before. As you can see, you can explore all this. There's like these blue lights down here. It's kind of cool. I guess it just gives lighting effects once you're outside of the water. That's really cool. Okay, so here's where I actually learned that you can fly in this area. There, you can actually get on your flying mount and you can fly around. So what do you think I did? I flew around. And so I discovered, that you can fly in this little area right behind the instance portal, which is pretty darn cool. So you can get some really cool views here. So I really wasn't expecting to be able to fly in this out of bounds area. Typically, out of bounds areas are restricted to flying. So I thought this was really darn cool. And if you guys find a way to fly in more out of bounds areas, that'd be great. I would love to see where you can do that. But this is one of the first out of bounds areas I have discovered that you can fly in. But there are limitations. There are invisible barriers all over this place. I didn't even notice this invisible barrier earlier. So a door of shadows will quickly get you through it. So I looked over at this very back door and wanted to see what's through that. It looks like there's a bunch of weird textures back there, but it proved a little difficult to get to. We'll get to that later. Okay, so the next thing I did here was I tried to glitch above the instance portal, and you get some weird views here, but there's really nothing too exciting. I fall pretty far, and you're seeing what's behind all the walls here, so you're not going to get a whole lot of really cool scenery here, but there is some green texture here, which is interesting, and you can kind of walk around the whole area. There's a point though, there's nothing else to look at. And so I kind of abandoned that idea and then went back to the main area. When I decided to go back to the main area, I decided it was time to swim as far as I possibly could downwards. Now at this point I didn't have any swimming or some breathing potions, so I didn't realize that there'd be a water to explore in this area. Don't worry, I went back later and I bought some swimming potions, but that's for later. If you do swim far enough down, you actually are back in air and you actually fall to this lower section here. Again, the water is completely invisible, so you would not be able to tell this unless you just actually did it. And so now we can also use our flying mount down here. That's what I do. I fly around on my mount down here. This is what I saw. I found this area to be really, really beautiful. I found it very awesome that you could fly around in. I just wanted to show all of that off. And if you look here, the textures of the water look a little bit strange. If you move a certain way underwater, the textures look really kind of distorted and kind of strange, very, very blue, unlike just regular water. So that was a weird little fact, and you'll see that from time to time. There's one specific area I want to point out with that, and I don't really understand why it happens, but it does. Okay, so one thing I did notice, so I swam far enough down to where I could actually go up into one of these pillars, and then I swam underneath the platform. So you guys know those like little glowy lights or whatever? Yeah, apparently they're just like little blotches that the developers put down. So they made the pathway, and then underneath the pathway they just put like blotches of golden lava, and they decided that was good enough, and this is what it looks like. I personally think this is actually really darn cool, and it just gives, just shows what developers have to do to make things look a certain way. Like this looks really bad underneath, but then you go above and it looks actually pretty cool. I thought that was very interesting. Okay, let's go back under the water, of course, and now we're going to try to explore a little bit down here. There's quite a few interesting areas down here. I'm going to show off specifically around the gates. There's a lot of little caves and stuff over here. So yeah, you see, you can actually go underneath this pillar here, and you'll actually be in the entrance to the Sepulcher. And so you can actually swim in that little area that's right behind the instance portal. I mean, there's a door and then there's an instance portal. So you can actually swim in that water there. Very interesting. And all this water is all connected. So I thought that was very interesting. Now, this is what I was talking about. There's this tiny little speck of water here that just looks really bizarre. I don't know what causes the water to look like that, but it looks so distorted. But I bet you from above, it makes a very cool looking design. I don't know. It just looks strange to me. Well, anyway, let's get back over to the entrance area, and we're going to see what we can do here. So I discovered that if you swim underneath this stuff, you can actually swim underneath the instance portal into the main map of the area. And when you do that, you'll actually be where people could potentially see you. I mean, look, there's mobs now. We're actually not technically out of bounds other than the fact that we're in the water where you're not supposed to be. I thought this was really, really interesting because, there are obviously mobs in certain underwater areas that are interactable, like the mob Hurricane or whatever, the tentacle monster, the whatever it is. That creature is in the water, just in a part that you can't get, but you can actually get there in front of the Sepulcher. So that's really cool in my opinion. Again, I didn't have swimming stuff because I wasn't really thinking I was going to be doing a lot of swimming. And so I decided to try to get as close to the top as possible and you can get some fresh air. And unfortunately, if you even get close to the top of the water, you pop out. So, but yeah, that was my first run of actually being under this type of water here. I thought that was really cool, and hopefully I can find more ways to do that. If you guys know how to consistently get underneath these water textures, let me know, because I would love to explore all of Zereth Mortis doing that. Now, you do have to be a little careful, because I did actually find a place that you can get stuck. If you go directly under the bridge and you go up to try and get air, instead of popping out, you'll actually get stuck under the bridge, and you won't die of drowning, but you won't be able to do anything else. So you'll have to eventually just swim out from under the bridge and pop up. Just wanted to mention that if you want to explore this area more thoroughly for yourself. Okay, so here's where I decided that if I'm going to be exploring Zereth Mortis, I probably need some Drayonic water breathing elixir. I really can't believe I didn't have them on me at the time. Last time I looked at the auction house, there's only 2 of them on there, and I bought those 2. So that really about covers the Sepulcher area. Unfortunately, there's not much else to the Sepulcher area. I wish there was more I could explore. I only have 2 places more that I want to explore. One is over in the starting area where it's all misty. I wanted to see if an inky black potion would take away the mist. Lo and behold, it does. And the area just looks very generic after you do that. Like, look how boring this looks. Like, it's so boring. But I want to try to find a way to get under the water there. I'm not sure how I can do that. But like, yeah, I'm glad they had the mist because this area is just not very fun looking otherwise. Okay, so then I glitched out of the map and I wanted to just see what all is out here because technically this whole area is covered in mist. And so you can see some weird textures here. There's a flat zone over there that I wanted to fly to. I failed miserably. What I did discover though is that there's an invisible plane and we could just stand on it, which is kind of strange, but yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, I moved on from that and I got pretty close to the death zone, but I wasn't all the way there. I decided to use the Seamus potion here to see what I was actually dealing with, and I found out that there are oceans surrounding this whole area. Now, oceans can be either one of 2 things. Either A, they're an infinite ocean where you could just keep swimming in it forever, or they signify a boundary. These signify a boundary, unfortunately. I couldn't tell at the time, so I decided to go for it and try to get as close to the water as possible using my super secret methods of exploration. And, well, this is what happened. Yep. I got a little too close to the border, and now we're floating forever. As a matter of fact, we're floating there until I get another character unstuck, which is great. Let's get back to the normal exploration, shall we? I just wanted to show that off real quick in case anyone's ever curious about what that starting area looked like without the fog. It's pretty simple, just by an inky black potion. I wanted to come over here and fly as far past the zone as possible. And so we're going to be waiting for the Goblin Glider again. In the meantime, let's have a dance party. Right, Pelagos? Shouldn't we have a dance party? Shouldn't we? Okay, so I actually made it quite far into the southern direction. I mean, I made it farther than I thought I would. And so there's some stuff to look at over here. Stuff that I hadn't seen before. And so we're even farther behind the Sepulcher, which I did actually explore. I wasn't sure if I did or not, but yeah, this is the other side of the Sepulcher. You can tell that there are a lot of different textures over here. And yeah, there's a lot to explore here. So that's what I did. I just went around and explored. I'm actually going to add a small addition to this portion of the video. I went back about 4 or 5 days after this audio recording, and I decided to try my best to get back behind this door of the Sep-oolk-her. I was successful in doing so, and I discovered this back room here. I'm pretty sure that this was mentioned in Spin Doggy's video, but here it is. There was no way to escape from here, so I guess we will be hearthing. What a really cool looking area. There's even some Zereth Mortis like designed buildings over here, which I thought was really strange because I don't think you would ever see this in the main game. I don't think so. I could be wrong on that, but I don't see how you'd be able to see this stuff back here. So more exploration wins for me. Okay, we are in a very massive area. There are tons of little texture pieces and chunks everywhere. So what do we do when that happens? Well, we're going to explore it, of course. Look. There's like 30 minutes of me walking in this out of bounds area. I'm not going to show you all that. I'm going to do a little montage, and if you want to skip the montage, that is perfectly fine. I'll have timestamps in the chapters, and so you could just see that. But I do want to just show this whole little area off because there's some amazing views here. Some absolutely stunning and jaw-dropping views. I did pop a sea mist potion here because I wanted to just see what else lies back there. I was able to get outside of the skybox of Zereth Mortis, but what's even cooler is the skybox in Zereth Mortis. It turned from blue to orange right here, which I don't know why it did that. I'm not really sure. It's just one little tiny area that does that. But also, look at that skybox of Zereth Mortis. It is impressive to say the least. And the bottom of the map looks like it just constantly is moving. It's so weird. So I figured I'd just show that off real quick. I tend to do a sea mist potion in every glitch I do just to see if there's any hidden secrets that you can't really tell from the actual, observation itself. Yes, this water unfortunately is also an invisible barrier, which is really unfortunate. Okay, here's some of the views I was talking about. Really beautiful. After being on the plane for a long time, we finally get to the point where I have to make a decision. I ran out of stuff to explore on these massive platforms, so now I have to make a decision to jump and potentially die, or continue exploring up here, but there's not really much up here. So I made the really hard decision to actually jump. Here's the thing. You get an incredible view while you're falling. Look at this. Look at all the design. You get the whole skybox of Zereth Mortis until you get to a certain point, and then you just get normal sky. But look at this. I mean, just the sheer size of this area. I'll just say this. It took me 3.5 minutes to fall as far as I did. 3.5 minutes. And unfortunately, I got here and I died.
Fatality.
Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Well, that was worth it. That is Zereth Mortis in a nutshell. Not in a nutshell. This was definitely more than a nutshell. But that was Zereth Mortis in its almost entirety. I am sure that Zereth Mortis has a lot more to reveal to us, but this is what the Sepulcher had to show. Thank you all to those who stuck around to the end of this video. It was definitely a long one, but I'm hoping you all enjoyed it. To anyone still here, I just want to say that this was a completely different style of recording than I'm used to. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you're a long-time subscriber, I hope that you enjoyed it more than my previous videos. I'm in the exploration phase of my channel, so until I find the formula that I want to continue with, there will be quite a few different styles that are put out in the next few videos. This style was one of my favorites so far. There will also be most likely a part 3 to Zereth Mortis down the line, but that won't be for quite a while. I have other videos I want to put out next. Thank you for watching the secrets of the Sepulcher of the First Ones. Sep-oolk-her of the First Ones.